all set to begin with our next presentation on how to pivot and shield through Black Swan Events. And I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Mr. Levine Naidoo, IBM Sterling, a frictionless business and supply chain evangelist. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Isha. Hello, everyone. And I thank you for the opportunity to contribute towards this plenary session. Firstly, before I begin, I'd also like to thank every supply chain manager on this call for the incredible work they've done in keeping our supply chains running. I'd like to share a presentation. I trust everyone can see my screen. So the top of mind question is, if Black Swan events are unforeseen, then how do you prepare for it? How do you build that what if capability? How do you build in resilience whilst on the move? COVID-19, much mentioned topic, although many regard it as a Black Swan event, there are some that argue it's not. However, it has really shone the spotlight on the fragile aspects in supply chain ecosystems. It has amplified existing or pre-existing friction. Heroic effort was needed to overcome this friction or any disturbances and create a steady flow of essential supplies. So with COVID, we've seen both kinds of shocks. The first being the supply shock and even increases in transport costs, further compounding the issue. The second shock being a drop in demand from customers further up the value chain, or the demand demographic changing, resulting in inventory being in the wrong place. This second shock also goes beyond production and trade and into investments as well. As we can all appreciate, rapid fluctuations in supply and demand are challenging for supply chains. The rapid fluctuations ripples up and down the chain, and no amount of inventory could act as a buffer. Without the right visibility in place, common approaches have been tactical, including following a response plan, if there was one, creating emergency operation centers, securing supply and people-related contingency plans. The reality is the reaction mode that many supply chains went into had huge cost implications, impacted by and impacted or impacting resource availability and profitability. The market certainly has not stood still over these years. Over the last 50 years, the length of supply chains have certainly increased. And we also live in a very connected world. We do need to rethink on how we move forward. How do we build more resilience? And where exactly do we start? So where do we get started? Technology has become indispensable for supply chains, and there are lots of associated challenges facing businesses today, with points of friction that really get exacerbated when there's a disruption or crisis event. Let's take a look at some of the various hotspots. This list of hotspots is certainly not exhaustive. Across business operations within the organization, there are certainly challenges with cumbersome technology or inflexible systems. There's a lack of real-time view or exact status of a process, and siloed or inconsistent information resulting in poor horizontal integration, and the inability to perform the integrated business planning, relying on lots of spreadsheet work and spreadsheet islands. Certainly no business is an island. In trading partner engagement, there are invariably increased human errors and rejection rates. There's disputes, there's high reconciliation efforts and costs. There's a plethora of trading networks to deal with, and trading partner onboarding can be very labor intensive on both sides. The lack of internal and external visibility is further highlighted with poor decision support, the right granularity of inventory information, or when the organization faces external market pressures driven by the need for provenance, trust, transparency, traceability, and sustainability. So again, where do you get started? Hold that thought. There are some considerations. Let's first take a look at how disruptive technologies play a role to help across three key areas. Visibility is improved through the use of artificial intelligence, which rapidly processes and correlates large amounts of structured and unstructured data from disparate internal, external, and in-flight sources. So AI is used to discover patterns and provide that shared visibility across various horizontal silos, and blockchain or distributed ledger technologies is used to provide provenance, traceability, and compliance. Decision support can and also provide recommended resolution activities and next best actions. We can also get agility through line of business automation. An enriched trading partner engagement is provided for by the latest standards in connectivity and provide self-service and rapid onboarding activities for trading partners. So what are some of the key considerations from a perspective of rapid deployment of disruptive technologies? Certainly, there are ecosystem impacts. Any organization that needs to reduce trading partner friction needs to consider the approaches to using various standards. Anybody can use standards, but certainly standards used in a prescribed way contribute towards reducing interoperability challenges. Any businesses adopting new channels need to consider trading partner maturity. Will your trading partners change, and will they adapt to your new channels? And certainly there are adoption barriers in terms of steep learning curves and issues around adopting new technology. There's certainly organizational challenges with adopting new technology. There is a need for sponsoring change at the highest level. Harvard Business Review did a study on thousands of projects that implemented artificial intelligence, and have found that over 90% of successful projects invest at least 50% on their budget in change. Design thinking takes an approach that people who are actually involved in day-to-day activities, being involved in designing the solution, have the best view of what the challenge is and a best view of what the solution should be like. And in most cases, a learn by doing approach goes a long way towards new skills attainment. And lastly, with the solution approach, there are various approach options in adopting new technology. The first option is disruptive technologies need to be weaved into organizational workflow processes. It can be done as a do-it-yourself approach where there's a steep learning curve and there's risks and costs. The second approach that could be used is the use of commercial off-the-shelf solutions that are mainly SaaS-ready, cloud-ready, and can be readily weaved into organizational workflow processes to make them intelligent workflow processes. Certainly, in terms of where's the best place to start, hotspots can be reviewed where there's the greatest friction, and those hotspots can be addressed through the incorporation of SaaS technologies. My last recommendation is that businesses should look to complementing existing investments rather than taking a rip and replace and implementing an all singing, all dancing ERP system. There's certainly complementary SaaS technologies that can be incorporated into solutions today. I thank you for your attention, and please do attend the IBM digital booth where SMEs are standing by to assist. Thank you.